Good evening, everyone, and welcome to FGM eCast, presenting ANZCAR Grand National live tonight from Dover Raceway. I am Stuart Brown. I am your host for this evening. My usual partner in crime, Scotty Rankin, actually running in this race. Aaron Johnson, good to see you again. Thanks for joining us during basketball earlier on this evening, last night, and I'm sure we'll see you tomorrow night as your hero, Mr. Corbett, gets involved with that race tomorrow night from New Zealand. But tonight we are here for these uncut, loose as a goose races from 1987. No horsepower restrictions on these ones, no limiters, but no downforce either. At Dover, a 1 mile track. So this track here, 24-degree banks on the corners, 9-degree banking on the straight. As you see there, Norm Clark with a huge drift sideways. We're just in the tail end of practice here once again tonight, coming to when we want to rather than dealing with a whole heap of technology issues. So I'm really good to see us able to get it all together for you tonight. Big thanks to the ANZCAR guys for last week. We had our issues actually started, unfortunately, on this stream, or actually on the tail end of our other stream that we run on a Tuesday night, and ran right through till Thursday. So didn't get to bring this to you live last week, but definitely this week. And albeit we did have the live replay on Saturday morning once we got the stream resolved. But good to be back here live and bringing this one to you. The big question tonight, as we just see Maddie Hunter there doing 1080 by the look of it, the big question on tonight is whether or not anyone can beat Edward Foster. So he has taken that last 3 races in a row. Prior to that, only one other victor between him and the prior 4 race wins as well. So fair to say, reasonably consistent in how he gets about doing his business in this series and doing a cracking job leading it at the moment, well and truly out in front. And I was having a listen to some of the pre-race stuff, and it's a slightly different track, this one, in terms of how the guys are going to make pace here. Obviously, only being a mile long, there's a lot less time for them to do anything other than draft and turn in. So the banking not being quite that high and the run-in pace not being quite that high, we won't see the speeds that we did last week. Certainly not at Talladega either. So Foster from Gallagher is the rundown in the positions on the table. We've got Foster from Gallagher from Raymond, Norm Clark, Matty Hunter, Jason Hardigan, Lachlan Equisia, who actually moved up 1 place after his strong finish last round. And then we've got Carl Withy, followed by Joshua Carroll Walden, and rounding out the top 10 is Matthew Clowett, who is not with us tonight, I don't think. D'Artanic there, currently running 3rd in practice. He had a really strong showing last week, bringing home a 4th place. So doing well, and he equally moved himself up 1 place on the championship table. 7 wins for Edward Foster. The only other drivers with race wins are Jason Hardigan, Mirko Dautanik, who we did just mention, and Jake Maloney, who I don't believe is running with us tonight either. So gaps at the moment, 82 points back from Foster to Gallagher in second place. And then we've got a points gap back to Raymond of looking at 42 points. So still close enough that there could be a challenge for the top of the table here. But it's going to need for Foster to really not do all that well tonight. But I think, look, if I was a betting man, my money would be on him bringing this one home as well, unless something happens. So stick around. We have got qualifying coming up for you in around about 3 minutes time, and then we will be into this one. We've got 130 laps tonight in this race. 4 rounds to go, including this one. We head to Pocono next week on Wednesday night, followed by Michigan, and then the final round is actually at Watkins Glen, and so looking forward to that one on the 9th of September to conclude this series and crown our champion at the end of it. You see there, the man of the hour, Edward Foster, there, just getting onto the back of the Scotty ranking car, so just unfortunately getting a little bit delayed there. His last lap was his fastest at 24.754. So you're going to be with us, look, 130 laps, going to be with us here for around about 40 minutes based on that lap time. So stick around. I really enjoy this one. It's a series that I would dearly like to run in, and we'd also dearly like more cars to run in it as well. We've only got 11 drivers on track tonight. Part of that's because there is another very hotly contested series running at the same time as this one, so a little bit of conflicting schedule there, so we pick up those drivers who aren't running in that one. But there's plenty more people out there who would want to run in this series, and we would love to see a full grid. Yes, there's only 4 rounds left, including this one, so if you jump in next week, 3 weeks to go, it's a great reason to get involved, because with 3 weeks to go, there's no pressure involved. You can get in, get used to these cars, which do drive very differently to the newer Xfinity cars, and have some fun. A great group of guys, very welcoming, very helpful in terms of setup information and learning how to drive these cars fast, and a well-administered series as well, with the ANZCAR guys doing a good job there, as Josh Carroll-Walden just gets up on to the 51, and we have a wreck. Who knows how much yellow flag action we're going to see tonight, with that turning into a bit of a crash at the end there, as we've got a reasonably solid-looking burnout happening in pit lane 2. I'm not sure. That's Hamish Gallagher there, you can see in that one. Hamish Gallagher generally likes running the high line on the track too, so it's going to be interesting to see how that Ford handles that during the race tonight, as he is well and truly trashing those tyres. Maybe practicing for a... and there goes the motor. Maybe practicing for a victory celebration at the end of this one, but he's got plenty of work to do before that happens. He's just 1/10 behind Jason Hardigan in second place in this practice session. So we've got 54 seconds to go, as you just see again, Carroll-Walden there just getting a little bit loose on the track, just dropping down to the inside edge. Good time for us to mention our broadcast partners tonight, aftershockpc.com.au. Those of you who have joined us frequently hear their name often, and we love having them on board. They've been our partners since the beginning, and we're very thankful for that. Simrigs.com, as well as Virtual Motorsport mentor Chris Purnell. They're doing his bit to help drivers get quicker and improve, and of course we are a Razer streamer, so using their headgear tonight to bring you my dulcet tones, along with being able to hear what's going on. So, how's everyone's day? How has it been out there in the world? We're locked down in Victoria still here, so sim racing is very much a big part of our evenings. But I'm interested to hear where you're from, interested to hear how things are going in your neck of the woods, and would love for you to get on board and keep me company as we head into qualifying for this race tonight. So across the top of the screen there, we do have our NASCAR style ticker. We will keep an eye on the timing screens here to see who gets where and does what in terms of this qualifying set. Wanting to be out in front here, I think, and try and gap and run. So we'll stick on board with Carol Walden here, who is out on track. And we've got Quijo, Foster and Hardigan out on track. Scotty Rankin on track too, and Dowtanic. This is a solo qualifying session, so you will only see one car on track at a time, but they are all qualifying at the same time. So we can jump between the drivers. We'll keep an eye on the purple sectors. That's what you're looking for down the bottom. The guys will probably get in, I think they only are allowed to do 2 flying laps here, 4 laps in total. So keep an eye out on the bottom there for the purple sectors. That's what we're looking for as we get timing information coming up on the screen here. Hardigan at the moment, the quickest man on track. Let's quickly switch across to him in that very good looking black liveried Chevrolet. Currently just moved up onto pole position 24.13. We've got Foster behind him with a 24.3 as he's sliding his Chevy around the bend there. 24.34 for Carol Walden just come through. 24.47 for Dowtanic. Aquijo 6.5, and then Scotty Rankin, our first driver, into the 25s with a 25.07 as they come around again for their second lap. Looks there like Foster has pulled out of that lap with it not being good enough. And he will have the job done there. He will bring that one into the pits. Carl Withy out on track now as well. He's just down on the inside there. I don't think he's just exiting pit lane. So he's starting his fastest lap. We'll right on board with him. We might jump inside the car and just have a look at how barren that is in comparison to what we're used to seeing of, say, a V8 supercar or any of the GT cars. Just some basic analog gauges, a little fan underneath there to keep your feet cool from the heat of the extractors underneath the floor, and just all the basics that you need. Some padding on a steering wheel, and the steering wheel, that's it. So we'll just see what Withy's done here. It's just a little bit slower through Sector 1, a little bit slower through Sector 2. He's got another lap to run around though. He's on a green sector for himself. And what's he done there? As he brings that one around, just waiting for the timing monitor to pick that up. As he brings it around now, 15, halfway around the track. He brings it around to finish his flying lap, and he's done a 25.03 there, so moved up into 7th place in qualifying. Hamish Gallagher choosing to leave his run quite late, so we'll jump on board with him and see what's he doing there. He's just sitting at the end of pit lane. That is an interesting strategy, a lap here. He's still got time with only 1:38 to go. Maybe he's trying to do a late run home to pick up pole position. So all our other drivers are finished at the moment. Actually, Carl Withy's still out on track, but I believe he is in pit lane. Yes, he is. So maybe Gallagher here, just wanting to get himself some free airtime, a little bit of priority coverage on the stream. Let's just stick with him until the end of the session. We've got Matty Raymond and Matt Hunter, who have decided, by the looks of things, not to qualify in this event. So they may well be starting from pit lane or just wanting to start towards the back of the field. So we've got Gallagher still sitting there at the end of pit lane. He's going to run out of time if he does not go shortly to do a 25-second lap. He is going to run out of time, so that they're looking like just wanting to start from the back of the field. So he's as we sit now, we've got Jason Hardigan on pole position with a 24.13, followed by Edward Foster, 24.3, then 4 100ths behind him, Joshua Carol Walden. They all had a strong battle last week, along with Hamish Gallagher. Lachlan Aquijo returning to the top of the tables with a 24.42. Mirko Dowtanic, 24.47. Norm Clark with an 8.5, Carl Withy with a 5.03, and then Scotty Rankin with a 5.07. Gallagher choosing not to put in a time, and neither Matty Raymond nor Matty Hunter making it out on track during our qualifying session. which has just concluded. So, 130 laps. I predict we are going to have, unfortunately, a early yellow flag here at this session. And when we do have an early yellow flag, it's going to cause chaos before that. With a 1 mile track, there's not a lot of time to spare for these drivers to get around and avoid the carnage. So we see there Hamish Gallagher choosing to start towards the back of the pack with Matty Raymond and Matt Hunter making the grid, which is great to see. As I said, only 11 cars in the field tonight. We would love to see 40 cars in this field, so plenty of room left and definitely want to get more people involved. So if you're interested in running a relatively short race on a Wednesday night, then definitely jump on board with us here at ANZCAR Grand National Series. Just waiting for the last couple of drivers to join the grid here. In fact, Mirko Dautanic now the only gap in the field. You can see that gap just there, and he has popped into screen. Jumped on board, and the pace car will lead us out, and they'll do a full lap under the pace car before we get this one underway. As we move away now. So the drivers will be getting ready to go as another cone victim enters the track. The cones cop an absolute punishment in this iRacing series. There's Hardigan there right up behind the pace car. He knows that the man on the top of the bank, Edward Foster, will be harassing him all night, along with Carol Walden. There's going to be, it's a little awkward with the banking here with the short turn in. The guys are going to need to pay close attention on these cars in particular to make sure that they don't end up over-rotating the rear and ending up in the middle of the track, facing the lots, facing the cars coming through behind them. So it is really about making sure that you maximise the turn in and get the car through and use the banking as best you can to get this car along. So as I said, hopefully there'll be no caution periods, but there's likely to be as we get this one underway. And Hardigan's cut and run there. I'm not sure whether or not he's got an express ticket to the start, but it looked like he left a fair way in front of the other drivers. So we'll keep an eye out to see whether or not there's any sort of issue with that post-race, but it doesn't look like he waited until the flag dropped. He's already 8/10 ahead of Carol Walden, and Foster there dropping 1 spot down into 3rd place. So just jump back a little bit here so we get a bit of a view of the pack behind, and Carol Walden's got his work to do to catch back up onto the back of Hardigan here and grab some of the draft before Edward Foster and Dautanic work together to catch up to. It looks like we've had a very clean start here. All the drivers getting through into lap 3 very quickly. So 25 seconds a lap. As we said, this one here going to go for around about an hour in terms of race length, so do stick around. 1.2 seconds now the gap between Hardigan and Carol Walden. Foster at 1.6 seconds with Dautanic right behind him, and a little bit of a gap back to Quijo, Withy, Clark, Rankin and Raymond behind them, and then another gap back to Gallagher and Hunter. I'm not sure what's going on with Gallagher there. He is extremely quick as he now has dropped to the rear of the field. Does choose to run that high line through the banking, so 26 degrees may not favour his preferred racing line in these cars this evening, but we'll see what he can do. Certainly won't rule him out after his performances while we've had the privilege of hosting this one over the last couple of weeks. He's always good for making progress back up the pack. Scotty Rankin into a little bit of a zone of his own at the moment, which can work for you, but also hurts in terms of managing to keep up with that lead pack. But he is doing a good job in getting that one around. Just noticing or hearing there was a little bit of noise that sounded like someone impacting with the wall. We didn't get any notification, but you can see the 3 drivers here, Foster, Carol Walden, Dautanic. You could basically be thinking that this was the same race as last week. This battle went on for lap after lap after lap last week, so expect some of the same action here as these three battle for third place and second place, I should say. The other thing that they will help is while Hardigan has jumped nearly 2 seconds up the road, they will be quicker in a pack using the draft to help one another actually achieve a higher lap pace. And we can see that already there with Foster, Datanic and Carol Walden 4 k's an hour faster down the straights than Hardigan. So that will help them definitely catch up. Already 10 laps in, that flies in this one, and Dautanic there just moving up on Carol Walden, so don't worry too much, that will address itself throughout this race. So we will continue to see position swapping as these guys try and sort it out. We're going to just have a little bit of a ride around on the back of the Dautanic car, just so you can have a look at the different lines that these two drivers take as they try and navigate their way around the course. See there, the turn in from the Walden car a little earlier there to try and get down into that bottom line and maximise the corner exit speed. For those of you who haven't necessarily run one of these, even in iRacing, it's, other than being a rough ride, as you can see the Carol Walden car bouncing around there, tenths is extraordinarily important. So a gap of 2.2, 2.3 seconds is enormous in this kind of racing. So really it's about maintaining momentum as much as you can and maximising your overall average lap speed so that you can catch and pass people. So you can see there that Carol Walden is struggling a little bit for mid-corner turn in that car, and as a result, with the car bouncing and just grabbing that little bit in the mid-turn corner, he's just not quite able to maintain the pace to close the gap or keep up with Dautanic, who's doing a good job here of being nice and consistent with his lines as he makes his way around the track. So very shallow turn in, but that may help Carol Walden as this race goes on. Tyre wear obviously being a factor. There'll definitely be a pit stop through here. And we've had some pretty good clean racing to start this race, so good work from the guys here. What we also hadn't seen there was Dautanic here right up on the back of Foster as our race leader Jason Hardigan goes through there under the sign. So he's doing well to keep up onto the back of that one and potentially try and execute a pass here himself. So we'll keep an eye on this battle here as we jump on board with Dautanic on the front of his car. And it seems to me that his car is actually handling the banking a little better than the Foster and Carol Walden cars there. Just with the turn in, you can see he's not struggling as much with the slide. As you can see, Foster there sliding through the corner and pushing up towards the outside there. So doing a good job here, and at the same time not having to work quite as hard sitting right in the draft of Edward Foster's Chevrolet. So good driving here from Dautanic. He's doing a great job to potentially move up into second place. Hardigan has cut and run a bit as well. Gap now at 2.8. He's going to start getting around to the tail of our field soon, with the gap back to last place at this stage, 13 seconds, 26 second or 25 second lap. So that is going to happen there. As you just see Foster there again in the mid corner, just getting pushed a little high, being able to pull it back in, but affecting his exit speed a little bit with Dautanic coming up on the back of him. Pull that car back down onto the inside to ensure that he doesn't end up collecting the wall on the exit of the corner. So good battle here between these two, and Foster will be very, very aware of the presence of Dowtanic behind him. See their last lap 26.1 from Foster, the last lap from Dowtanic at 26.1 as well. So obviously pace for pace, they are going for it lap after lap here, as we're already into lap 18 of this one, or lap 19, my apologies, of this one. And again, that car just pushing into the high section of the bank here. Dowtanic, oh, he's gone wide there and collected the wall, so that's definitely going to affect him and give Foster a breath as he can concentrate on the road in front rather than worrying about any of the cars getting low on him 20 laps into this one. Looking back through the field here, we've got Carl Withy and Lachlan Equijo close together as well, under half a second in that battle. And Matty Hunter and Matty Raymond battling away towards the back of the field as well. We'll jump on board with them shortly. This is actually a three-way battle. We'll jump out a little bit further here and have a look. As you can see, you've got the Withy and Equijo car, and not too far behind them is Clark, Norman Clark, that is, in his Chevrolet. So as they come around the bank, you can see there, that's a really good shot actually of how much the corner squares up as they exit the corner, and that's part of the worry with getting a little bit wide in the entry to the turn. It means that what will happen is when they get spat out the other side, they end up quite high in the track and can obviously risk hitting the wall. So as I said, not the steepest track we run at with only 24-degree banking, but with the short turn radius and the short straights, can make it a little more difficult to maintain exit speed, as we just see Equijo there on Carl Withy. They're really, really close together, those two, in terms of this battle, running high. And I think Clark's going to try and take advantage here as well and use the pull from the Withy car to try and make a move through on Equijo and move himself up one position as well. So Equijo just using the draft there. Getting in a little low though, and that's pushed him high on the bank, so he had to pull back out of that one, and that's left him vulnerable to Norm Clark coming down the inside. He's gone round the long way there. Just see if he can hold on to that as he's high in the bank, Equijo, and he has managed to get it done. It's Withy there defending heavily against Clark as well. And it looks like Clark's going to get the job done around the outside there as well. Scotty Rankin's joined up onto the back of this battle too. So it could be a costly little exercise here for Withy as he's moved right down onto the inside. I heard some car damage there as well for one of the cars collecting the wall. Equijo's run away a little bit from this battle as we jump back on board with him. And just shift here to these three drivers still battling for 6th, 7th and 8th. Scotty Rankin there moving up on Carl Withy. So that Carl got, unfortunately, he's managed to, unfortunately, drop 3 places there with that one. So no good at all for him. No, I'm sorry you're not enjoying it, Aaron. We'd love to have more cars on the track here, mate. It would make it a little bit better for us too, but these guys putting on a good show with what they can for the cars out on track. Hardigan here way out in front. We've got Foster and Dowtanic still battling away there in 2nd and 3rd position. He's caught right back up onto the back of the Foster Chevrolet, so looking for a pass here if he can get it done. He's just got a little loose there on the exit. Not quite managing to keep the pace up there with Foster as well, so now Dowtanic exposed a little bit to Carol Walden behind him, and 3 seconds, I think 3 seconds for Hardigan's the biggest lead we've actually seen this early on in one of these races, so he's done a great job, albeit I think there may be some questions raised about the start procedure for him at the end of the race, so we may see some penalty there depending on how they look at that very quick start, shall we say, that he made before I think the lights actually really went green. So anyway, we'll leave that up to them to adjudicate, and we'll see what happens. Let's check back in again with this Equizio Clark and Rankin battle. It's probably more this one that we're looking at here between Clark and Scotty Rankin. He's managed to jump up onto the back of the Equizio car and is challenging for that position there. You can see him down on the inside, and loose behind him was Carl Withy as well. I think Scotty might have run a little bit high in the bank there. He has, but he's going to pull that back down. He'll get a good exit here, and that may well set him up for the tow down the front straight as we complete another lap. 31 of 130. The car's very loose here at Dover with that short turning radius of the banking, so doing a good job. I can't believe we've gone this far without a yellow flag, to be brutally honest. I thought we would get, particularly from the practice, some sliding and some rotating and a blocked track or two, but we haven't got there. We had 75 laps under green flag last week in the second part of the race, so these drivers doing a good job to give us some green flag running. Just see Carol Walden here has managed to make a move past Mirko Deltanic, who has crashed. So we'll just try and bring you a replay of that one. He may have just scrubbed the wall, actually. No, as we go into caution, we must have jinxed it. Sorry about that replay being a little loud there. So you watch him on the black car there, he's hit the wall on the outside of the track and bounced it down the inside. That is going to be night over for him. No, he's kept it going. He'll get that one around to pit lane, but definitely yellow flag territory, that one. Jump back live here. So Jason Harding in there, we will get that fixed. That is really frustrating, that replay. So we'll get that fixed before tomorrow night when we head to the ANZCAR series for a race there. Yeah, you're not wrong, Gail. 40 cars on this circuit probably would be a little bit of carnage. Probably a fair bit, actually. So it's a little small for that, but certainly at Talladega it would have been fantastic to see a few more. But the guys are putting on a good show for us tonight. Because everyone will get through pit lane here, get tyres. What it will do is close up the gap to Matt Hunter at the front of this field. So we'll see him get put under a bit of pressure from Jason Hardigan and Edward Foster as well. So we'll keep an eye on that. Not sure if Deltanic will get back out here or not. There'll be some repairs to do to that car, clearly, given where it's at. Did you see Edward Foster there getting out first? So he will resume this race in the lead. So Matty Hunter, a little bit of work to do there. Just wait for these cars to come around. Yeah, so tomorrow night we're headed to Monza for the NZSR series. So that's live here from 6 p.m. No other GT racing tomorrow night. We just have the single race on. So if you are looking for GT racing, just definitely tune in tomorrow night for that one. And then I think after that we're going to be doing some Assetto Corsa stuff. So a couple of extra bits and pieces for you for tomorrow night. And then Friday night we do have our IndyCar racing on. So if you're liking the open wheeler stuff, we're heading to Belle Isle for round 2 of the ANZ IndyCar series. So we're just waiting for the lights to go out on the pace car here. I'm getting used to the lingo for the oval track stuff. So definitely not a safety car. It is a pace car, and we're under caution at the moment, not yellow flag for those of you who haven't watched the NASCAR. I was actually watching the NASCARs, they were at Daytona on the weekend, and it was great to see because they weren't running Daytona Oval, they were actually running the Daytona Circuit track, which incorporates part of the bank circuit, if you're not familiar with it, with a circuit track that's built onto the infield of the raceway there. It's got a fair bit of multi-purpose functionality in it. And in the Saturday run, the guys were on a caution lap, and they came out of the caution period, and pretty much everyone in a jam ran wide at turn 1. So I think it was a car that was in 11th or 12th place, ended up leading the race and winning the race with the caution period coming just 2 or 3 laps before the end. So it was pretty cool to watch, 15 or 16 cars run wide into that turn. So I think that our last race of the series here is at a circuit as well. So it's going to be cool to see these cars driven around a circuit instead of the oval, and see how the guys handle that with the lack of aero and bits and pieces on these cars. So make sure you tune in for that one. That's our last round of this series. So light's still on the pace car, so we will go around for another lap under pace conditions, as the lights have just gone out. So expect that pace car to peel off next time around and enter pit lane, and we'll get back under green flag racing for hopefully the rest of the race. Fortunately, D'Artagnac's still in pit lane there. I think he's going to spend the rest of the night there getting that car potentially repaired. The pace car there peels off down to the inside of the track, and it will be Foster who will lead us away when the lights go green. Hardigan behind him, Carroll Walden behind him, Equisio as the guys get back underway for lap 39 of this race. So just see there, Hardigan just trying to get a little high line on the back of Foster as they come around. This battle here will be on with Hardigan having had his lead taken away because of the caution period. He will be looking, and he is there, trying to get underneath Foster through the final turn there, and he's got the inside line here. He's going to get the job done in that car there. Foster's, I think, going to unfortunately lose 2 spots here, with Carroll Walden taking advantage and getting through there, as well as we have had a clean restart here on lap 40 of 130 as we get through this race at Dover. So Carroll Walden now the driver in pursuit of our leader Jason Hardigan after that caution period. We've still got a close battle back here. Hamish Gallagher actually made up 3 spots in pit lane, so that has worked well for him. Every car has been through pit lane and done a service on their car, so tyres and refuel. So keep an eye on Gallagher, and we certainly will, as I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up getting into this lead pack here with Hardigan, Carroll Walden, Foster and Equisio. So just we'll keep interest in his lap times at the moment. He's actually lapping at the same pace as the guys at the front of this race. He's just done his best lap of the race as well. So we'll show you how Hamish Gallagher progresses here. The Hardigan and Carol Walden have worked together here to open up a little bit of a gap on Foster, who's now just on 3/4 of a second behind them. As we'll jump on board with the Gallagher, this little battle here, Norm Clark with Hamish Gallagher and Scotty Rankin back in 5th, 6th and 7th. Scotty Rankin using the draft here to close up right on the back of the Gallagher Ford. So I'd be too surprised if he tries to put a move on in the next lap or two to get down onto the inside of the track and get that pass done. Sliding a little high in the groove there. But you can see the benefit of the draft there. A great shot as Scotty Rankin now going to use that draft to try and push himself down the insides. He's going to get it done. Room been left there as well by Gallagher, which is a great thing. And Scotty Clark's going to get that. Scotty Rankin, my apologies, is going to get that move done. And try now to, if he can, close out Gallagher so that he can get back onto the back of Clark. You can see Gallagher there running high out of the groove. So that's not helping him too much, but Rankin now trying to use that draft to get up onto the back of this battle with Queijo and Clark up ahead. So we'll keep our eyes firmly fixed on this one. The gap at the front, I can tell you, is only 1/10 of a second between Hardigan and Carroll, and Foster there is involved in that still too. So 4 cars here battling for 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. And using that pack, it's not unfortunately helping them to try and catch up onto the lead group with them running last lap around about 3/4 of a second slower than our lead pack as Foster has joined back up onto the back of that one. As I hear some damage there, someone has run wide and clipped the wall, but no alert, so obviously no damage. Look at these three here, our leaders. Hardigan, Carol Walden and Foster here all up close together with one another, battling to try and take the lead. Not able to cut and run Hardigan this time in the same fashion that he did at the start of the race. So having to battle and defend his position. That may hurt his tyres as we get through this. I don't know. Still trying to work out the length of time these cars can go on a tank of fuel without needing a pit. So given we did 75 laps of green racing last week and needed a top-up at the end, we will see another pit stop here, I believe. It may be right close to the end, though. The track last week, a 1.6-mile track, this only a mile long. So that extra distance, of course, meaning that they need more fuel. You can see in the background there, that battle we were watching, Queijo, Clark, Gallagher and Rankin, a little bit spread out now. So we'll stick here with Carol Walden and Hardigan and with Foster, who are covered by a virtual tissue in terms of the distance between themselves, and see who can do what in this battle. As Foster just drops off slightly, that could be strategy so that he can position himself and get a better run at this when the time suits him. Carol Walden right up behind Hardigan here, and has been now for a few laps. So that will be affecting the way that car feels as he's trying to find grip to keep the car on the track in this chase. See, they're looking through the different lines, trying to potentially go a little higher to get quicker exit speed out of the corner. Jump on board the nose here of the Carol Walden car. Just keep an eye on that slide in the 51 of Hardigan. It's definitely what Carol Walden will be looking to capitalise on there is any mistake where that Chevrolet does slide a little wide like that. And if he can get the nose down on the inside, it will give him a better exit out of the corner here. Just tuck in behind if he can, just to get that extra speed as he enters the corner. Not quite able to get the job done there, but it won't be long. We're going to get a really, really good view of that Drive Sim sponsorship on the back of Hardigan's car. He's really just looking to keep things smooth here, keep his lap pace up, and try and get a good run out of one of these corners and capitalise on any mistake by Hardigan. Got to be aware that right behind him, of course, is Edward Foster doing a little bit of Morse code on the back of his car. So he's right there if anything happens in this battle to capitalise on it. So we're looking to see what may come out of this battle. Jump back out now and have a look at Foster right behind these two and his relative track position. Just staying attached to these lead cars, not wanting to make or lose too much of a gap. As we can see in the background there, this battle here is still hot. Scotty Rankin unfortunately dropped off a little bit off the back of it, but we've got these three guys still battling it out with Norm Clark now up to the front of the pack for this one. So Clark making a little bit of a gap here. We've got Aquisio and Gallagher still neck and neck in 5th and 6th. The battle up the front still nice and close. Look at that there. We've got 3 drivers. Less than 0.2 of a second covering all 3 of them. .16 between Hardigan and Carroll Walden. You wonder how long they can keep it up for at that close range. Carroll Walden there, just sticking his nose again down the inside. It does affect the way these cars drive. They definitely move around all over the road. So to keep pace that close for a good 20 or 30 minutes is going to be difficult for them. But we've seen them do it before. There's just no relenting on the pressure on the back of that Hardigan car. So just see Foster there hanging back there. I wonder if some of that's a little bit of strategy there, as he may want to avoid anything if it does happen where there's a move from Carroll Walden on Hardigan. So you can see him there just about half a second back from this Hardigan-Carroll Walden battle. And that's not necessarily a bad move. He'll save his tyres a little bit, albeit he just doesn't want to lose touch with that group. As Hardigan there just drops out for a little bit, but is back with us. And it means he can capitalise if one of these 2 drivers makes a mistake while they battle it out for the lead of the race. I'm just going to jump quickly back to this battle here, as well as we see Aquisio and Gallagher still fighting it out with Clark just in front of this one too. So about half a second covering those 3 drivers in that battle, with Clark just getting away a little bit there, breaking the draft, as Aquisio drop backs to Gallagher, so he's on the front bar. And Gallagher, he's going to have a move and get the job done down the low side of the track on Lachlan Aquisio. So job done for him. That moves him up into 5th place, and he'll now be trying to charge away, if he can, from Aquisio to get up onto the back of Norm Clark and work together with him to potentially get involved in this little battle that is still raging along at the front of the pack. 62 laps in to our race here at Dover. So Hardigan starts us on to lap 64 of 130 laps here at Dover, and there's still less than 1/10 of a second between those 2 drivers. There's Aquisio and Gallagher behind them, still battling here, and Aquisio's done a carbon copy move of the move that Gallagher put on him just a lap earlier there. So not managing to get enough of a gap, Gallagher, to establish a lead over Aquisio, and they're still battling it out. Norm Clark, however, has shot off up the street. And he is working his way actually closing the gap to Foster in front of him. So looking at this stage, it's down to, it doesn't sound like heaps, but it's massive in the context of this race. Foster now 5 seconds up the road, so he's going to have to work hard to get back onto the back of that front pack. Really a safety car would help him here, but most definitely, other than that, if he can work together with another driver to help use the draft to increase that lap speed there. So pace of Foster, Carroll Walden, and as you see, Walden there again looking down the inside of Hardigan, not quite as good as the cars behind them actually, so holding one another up a little bit here and damaging the gap they've established, but they've got enough that they can spend a little to make sure that they get the job done. 53 laps to go. Did have a safety car, sorry, we did have a caution period a little earlier on in the race at lap 34 or 33. We had a safety car period where Mirko Dautanic unfortunately hit the inside wall, having spun out of the bank and caused that caution to come out. At that point in time, it was Jason Hardigan who was leading this race by a good 5 or 6 seconds. He lost that advantage when the caution came out, and it was actually Edward Foster who went out into the lead post a round of everyone going through the pits to put in new tyres and refuel these cars. But since then, Hardigan and Carroll Walden managing to get past him, and we've basically been looking at this 1/10 of a second battle between Hardigan and Carroll Walden now for the last 30 odd laps. No one's blinked yet, and these two drivers are pulling away from Foster now. The gap out to just under a second, and just over a second on the ticker across the top there, and that means that they're able to work together to pull away with that higher speed they're achieving down the straights, around about 2 k's an hour higher down the straight than the cars following them there. So I'll just put that back up on the track there. I'm also going to bring up on the track our on the screen here our track map, if I can do it. Not quite wanting to play, so I'll bring it up here now. So you can see there we're on board with Carroll Walden, and having a look at just at the speed that he's getting down the front straight here. He's going to top out just on 252 kilometres an hour, and the guys behind him 257, and in some cases up to near 260 k an hour. So a little bit of a speed differential there. When they are working together, it does help with the draft. So Foster, they're taking a little bit of time out of these two now. And the grid's settled down a little bit behind us here. We've still got Aquajo and Gallagher who are close together, but that has started to settle down and spread, with Aquajo now actually moving up onto the back of Norm Clark again. So trying to look to get that position back and move himself up into 4th position on race order. So he's going to need to do a little bit of work to maintain that gap from Gallagher and not get back under pressure from him. A little bit further back down, doing a good job, Scotty Rankin here in 7th place, up 1 from his starting position, and Matty Raymond behind him. We've got Matt Hunter following him up as well, with Carl Withy in the pit lane. So that's an interesting one. Just keep an eye on that. Not sure whether or not he's going to fuel there to the end. He should be able to, if that is what he is, if that is why he is into pit lane. to do his final pit stop. I do expect another round of pit stops from these cars if we get more of this green flag running. I did hear someone touch the wall as we were having a look at pit lane there, but no massive damage as a consequence, because nothing has alerted us to the fact as to who it might have been. You can hear it again there in the background. So someone running quite wide and tapping on the walls. We'll see if we can find out who it was. Just notice, have a look in the lap times here to see if there's anyone who's substantially higher. Not looking like it at this stage, but you can see there that Equizio again under pressure from Gallagher. So I'm going to suggest that it may have been Equizio just hitting the wall, running a little bit high out of the corners, just on the basis that he's now 1 second behind Norm Clark, but is very much under pressure from Hamish Gallagher again, as Gallagher gets a better run out of that turn and is going to try and go high side here and get it done. As you can see there, Equizio ducking in to the inside part of the track. I'd say he's going into pit lane. Yes, he is. So potentially some damage on that car, but also, as I said, all the drivers are definitely going to need to do another stop with this amount of green flag running. There is no chance that they're going to make it to the end of this race without another stop. Expecting at this stage, based off the pit lane activity on lap 36, that we'll probably see them go to around about lap 100 before needing to do any more refueling before the end of the race. I think that's probably about as late as we may see them come in, but we'll see if we've got that right or not. There is a gap now here, a big gap, as we've got Carol Walden into the pit for his pit stop, deciding to pull out of this battle and get that done. So as I said, we'll see everyone through before, I think, lap 100. I think that'll be about as late as anyone could run and to fuel the car to the end. And whether or not they take tyres as well, we'll keep an eye on Carol Walden here as he pulls up for his pit stop. I do love the orange paint on his car, the way that looks. The livery is fantastic there. Just nice and simple but effective, reminiscent of these cars back in the day. So just watching there to see if the car goes up. Yeah, it does there. So he is doing tyres on that one too, and that does not surprise me. So he'll be ready to go to the end. So now what we've got to do is see whether or not Hardigan's going to blink or Foster's going to blink and go in and get their pit stops done. They can't be too far off there as Hardigan heads around. He's not coming in this lap. Edward Foster, on the other hand, has decided to make his pit stop and get that done there. He has a little bit of an advantage out of these pit stops here. He very efficient in his entry and exit out of the pit lane. So we'll have to see where these guys come out of the pit, what position they're in, as that can make all the difference. If particularly in a race like this, last week we saw 3 or 4 second gap grabbed by Edward Foster to move into the lead of that race. So given the margins in this field, very important to do your service time as efficiently as you can. And the big difference really is if they're all taking obviously tyres and fuel, is the entry speed and those final lap, the entry lap and the exit lap of the pit. So we've got Hardigan, Gallagher and Rankin who have not made their second stop yet. Matty Hunter in 5th, who equally has not made his stop yet, indicating that there's a number of cars a lap down, but of course that is only because, as our race leader Jason Hardigan heads into the pit lane, only because those drivers have done their pit stops and the drivers who have lapped them have not. So stick with Hardigan here. What I want to see is, as we hear there, some more damage to another one of the cars, someone running wide. Just trying to pick up if it was someone. Yeah, there it is. So it was Scotty Rankin there, unfortunately, getting a little bit of damage on the right-hand front corner of his car. Still going around, though, not causing a safety car period, which, of course, would play into the hands of those cars who are yet to pit. Sorry about that. The doesn't look like the race pace is affected that much for Foster with only taking those 2 tyres in pit lane, but he is established himself an 8-second lead as a consequence of only taking 2 tyres during his pit stop, and we'll see if that affects him as we get through the last 36 laps of this race. It doesn't look to be at this point in time, with his last lap at 25.9. His best of the race at 25.3, but he has that space now behind him back to Carol Walden and Hardigan, who will continue and resume their battle now for what will be 2nd and 3rd place once Matty Hunter does his final pit transition. So just going to jump off Foster for a second here as Hardigan has ducked down the inside of Carol Walden here to move up into 2nd place. So these guys very much resuming that battle. We've also had the Clark-Requijo battle resume itself for 6th and 7th, with under half a second between those 2 drivers as they battle that out there. Had everyone other than Matt Hunter, our race leader at the moment, go through pit lane. So effective race leader, as Gail has pointed out, is Edward Foster. So once again, the master of the pit lane strategy. And he has jumped both Hardigan and Carol Walden, who were in front of him, and is now our race leader, or effective race leader. Matt Hunter will need to come in shortly. He pitted on the same lap as everyone else, so he will be running that car dry, with the other drivers taking the option to get their pit stop done a little bit earlier on. Not sure how that'll play out for him, whether he takes tyres, and with those fresher tyres we'll be able to lap a little quicker. At the moment he's got a 28-second lead, which will be obviously eroded with the pit lane transition time, anywhere between 50 seconds to a minute, depending on what he does while he's in pit lane. So the Hardigan here, there's established a little bit of a gap, so we'll jump back on board with Edward Foster and see where he is on the track. He's just approaching halfway around the lap here on the back straight. This will make it 4 in a row for Foster. That is an incredible effort, and a streak of 9 in a row, only broken in the middle there by one race where he didn't manage to take out top spot. So an incredible effort from him to be on track to win 8 of the last 9 races. A fantastic result. And obviously one that sees him at the top of our championship table in the ANZCAR Grand National Series. You can see there's plenty of marbles on the top edge, or on the high side of the track, so drivers wanting to be careful not to get out onto that, as we see Matty Hunter on our timing boards and on the screen there coming into pit lane. So Edward Foster will come through here as there is Matty Hunter down on the inside of our screen, and Edward Foster will now resume the race lead, or assume the race lead, and all of our drivers have now served their second pit stop that they needed to do to get through to the end of this one, with 29 laps to go, or just we're heading around the back corner, or the last corner of the track, I should say here. Put my teeth back in, and Edward Foster will commence lap 102 of this race. First race was held at this track actually in 1969, and a name that needs no introduction in oval track or NASCAR racing circles. Richard Petty won that race. Took 3 years to build this track, and interesting fact, the overall track capacity of the crowd here is actually bigger than the MCG. But when this race was run in 1987, the capacity of the grandstands was 13,000. So to put that into perspective, smaller than the oval size of, say, the GWS Giants in New South Wales, or for rugby league fans, certainly smaller than the capacity of some of those rugby league grounds, which have quite small capacities by modern day standards. So you can see there it's not overrepresented on this. They gradually built that up over the next years to the whopping capacity now of 95,000 people. And if you watch it live, you can see they get 95,000 people when there isn't obviously the events currently going on in the world taking over, but the grandstands generally are that full. So a massive arena for these guys to run at. Still hosts NASCAR today, and back in the day did also host 2 or 3 races in a season. So a very popular track, and one that's well supported. So with 26 laps to go, 5 seconds, just under 6 seconds actually, the lead here for Foster over Hardigan and Carol Walden. And really the closest battle on the track is actually back for 7th and 8th. But even there, it's 2 seconds gap at this point in time. So we'll keep an eye and see if anything does happen a little bit further back in the pack to bring that to you. Even Carol Walden and Hardigan, the gap there has opened up to just on 2.5 seconds as we get round to 25 or 24 laps to go. Very much looking forward to when we head to Watkins Glen at the end of this series, our last round there. We've got Pocono next week, 70 laps, and we've got Michigan the week after that. September 9, we have Watkins Glen, and that's going to be a circuit race, which I'm looking forward to seeing how these guys handle these cars in a circuit environment. So do make sure you join us for our next 3 rounds. And as I did mention at the start of this race, if you're looking to get involved here, it's a good time to jump on board. With only 3 rounds to go, you can get some experience in the cars and get some advice from the guys, and maybe then participate in this series next season. So I did hear some rumours that they were going to put on another series at the end of this year. So we'll wait and see what comes of that. I haven't heard anything further, but don't be afraid to jump onto the ANZCAR Facebook page and have a chat with our race leader and some of the other guys about getting involved in this series. I'm sure they'd love to have you out there and help you get into the cars and certainly get up to speed to join this race series. Just having a look at the championship implications of this, and obviously this is going to result in Foster extending his lead as we do just see another car coming into the pits there. So, but what this is going to mean is that Foster's going to extend his lead at the top of the field here. It was Withy jumping into pit lane. I think that's an unscheduled stop there, so I'm not sure why he's doing that. But it's going to mean Foster extends his lead at the top of the field as well, with Gallagher not finishing in 2nd or 3rd. It's going to widen that gap. He is our current 2nd placed sitter. We've also got Matty Raymond in 3rd position. So again, that's going to only stand to open the gap further for Foster at the lead of this series. So going to be a tight battle as they get through places 3 through 8 with a number of the drivers running tonight in those positions. We've got Withy, who has just jumped in the pits. He is in 8th spot overall. Dautanic out. He did make up his position on the table last week after his strong performance. Hardigan will move up from 6th position with his second place finish here if he manages to get it done, as will Joshua Carroll Walden. He'll make a good jump too. So Hamish Gallagher, probably the one who's going to suffer the least damage, finishing in 4th, currently 2nd on our points table. So once that gets released, we will bring you the update from ANZCAR and the write-up that they put together each week about the results of this series. So we'll bring that to you as that comes to our desk over the next couple of days. We'll come back to Foster in a few minutes. We'll just jump back through the field and give everyone a little bit of screen time here. We've got Jason Hardigan here, who had a fantastically strong start to this race, down in 2nd place. He was our pole sitter for the race this evening. Joshua Carroll Walden in the orange 35 Chevrolet in 3rd. That is where he qualified, so he's managed to hold that position down, albeit has battled extremely hard this evening with Hardigan. Hamish Gallagher, our biggest mover, he decided not to put in a qualifying lap tonight, starting at the rear of the field. He's moved up to 4th place, our biggest mover for the night, with 5 spots up from his starting position. Did benefit a little bit from the caution period as well, and made his move up through the pack as a consequence of that. We've got Norm Clark in 5th position, been up 1 spot, and battling in this pack with Gallagher, Aquisio, and Scotty Rankin for a little bit of tonight. Speaking of which, Lachlan Aquisio, here he is on screen, and he has done another ripping job tonight, being nice and consistent. Probably would have preferred to be a little bit higher up the grid, having dropped 2 places in the process of the race, but has run another nice, clean and consistent race for him for tonight. Scotty Rankin would probably be pleased with his performance, albeit again he would have wanted to get a little higher in this one. He is only 3 races into this series, and struggled with a little bit of bad luck in the first couple of rounds with a damaged car. He's getting a little bit loose on the exit there. Struggled with some damage to his car, and just getting used to driving these. It is the first time he has run them, and that position there, he just runs wide and taps the wall again there. Just trying to do the right thing and get out of the way of Carroll Walden there. So, but Scotty Rankin doing a good job in his 3rd race in this car and series. Matty Raymond there coming through. He's right behind, out of position with Hamish Gallagher there, but just following him around with Matty Hunter in the other blue Ford Monte Carlo. What's the sponsorship on that car there? I was just trying to see that. It's like a proper livery. There's a little bit of damage on that car as well. Carl Withy right behind him. And then unfortunately we do have Mirko Detanik, who is in pit lane after an accident on lap 33. That is our field with 8 laps to go, as perfect timing. Edward Foster just runs around to the outside of Detanik as we were looking at him in pit lane. To continue to get out in front of this one. The gap has closed to 3.9 seconds back to Hardigan, so potentially those 2 tyres not doing as well for Edward as the taking a full set of tyres, but the gap was big enough that it will not matter in this race. You can just see there Hardigan coming through behind him, but not enough early enough after those pit stops was the damage done for Foster to not be in control of this one as we go into 6 laps to go. run a really clean race here as well, Foster. Obviously, we were talking about the fact that he had about a half a second gap to the leaders before our second round of pit stops. And I would suggest now that that was probably deliberate, that he was managing his tyres, knowing that he was only going to take 2 tyres in the pit stop and try and gap the leaders by jumping them with a shorter pit strategy. So not quite necessarily got the outright pace of the lead cars, with actually at this stage Jason Hardigan taking out our fastest lap award, 4/10 faster than Foster and Carol Walden. So using the strategy and getting himself in the lead of the race through that strategy. So a really good move from him to get the job done and conserve those tyres a little bit during that second part of the race before the second pit stop took place. Only taking 2 tyres and using that advantage to get himself into the lead and what looks like take out our race here with just 3 laps to go, or around about 2.5 laps to go to bring this one to an end at Dover. As we just see something's happened here a little bit further back, actually. It looks like Carol Walden's gone off, and we've got Gallagher up into 3rd spot. I'd say there's been a slide there. There was no issue in terms of damage to the cars or any reports on anything actually happening there, but you can see Hamish Gallagher now moves up into 3rd spot. After that, and in fact Norm Clark just squeezes his way in front as well, so Carol Walden dropping 2 places there on the final lap, and he is unfortunately going to look like he's going to finish. There's something wrong with that car, it sounds horrible. So not sure whether or not he's got an issue with a tyre or anything like that, but it doesn't take away from the fact that Edward Foster has taken out this race at Dover. 4 on the trot for Edward Foster. Congratulations, a fantastic win there for you in this race. Hardigan hard charging at the end there, coming through in 2nd spot. And we'll just quickly jump on board with this battle here. No, it has concluded. So we've got Norm Clark, who moves up 2 positions on the last lap to take out 4th place. Hamish Gallagher in 5th, and we've got Joshua Carol Walden there, as well as one of the cars just wrecks off to the inside of the track, and that's a little bit of shenanigans for the drivers. Just not too sure what happened there to Carol Walden. He dropped off dramatically at the end in terms of pace, so don't know whether or not he had some issues. He shouldn't have run out of fuel, but yeah, just not getting much of a luck towards the end of the race there. So just stick with Foster as he continues on his parade lap around as the victor of this race, and he does take the spoils. He is firmly putting one hand on the trophy here in the ANZCAR Grand National Series, and the last 3 rounds are going to be interesting. There's going to be battling for there's going to be battles for 2nd, 3rd and 4th in this series, particularly with that late change in results, with Norm Clark taking 3rd and Gallagher taking out 4th. Thanks very much for tuning in, Gail. We appreciate it as always. And yeah, fantastic win. 4 out of the last 5, or he actually has 8 out of the last 9 races. So a dominant run by Foster here, and definitely puts him in pole position to take out this title this year. We will grab our podium into the commentary box here and have a little bit of a chat with them to see how they found the race, and that will happen in a couple of minutes. I'll just see if I can drag them into the room here and get some comments from our podium as we get to the back end of this one. Just grab Hardigan in, and Clark isn't in the room at the moment. Edward, congratulations, mate. You've taken out 8 of the last 9 races. It is a show, and certainly the last 4 races as well. Pit strategy there playing a big part in you jumping right out in front.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of those things, wasn't it? I probably was just lacking a little bit of raw pace, I think, tonight, especially on the fresh tyres. So sort of having realised that on that second stint, I was just kind of riding in behind Jason and Josh. I knew they had much worse tyre wear than me on the first run, and was just wondering if that was going to be the case the second time. So I was really kind of minding my entries into the turns, etc., etc. And then just I realised my tyres were actually okay after that first stint pit stop. So took a gamble, took 2 tyres, and it worked out. Everything seemed to even out. I mean, Jason was coming hard at the end, but he ran out of laps and we got there.
Yeah, we did note that actually, that you were conserving on that sort of in that second period of the race before the last round of pit stops, just sitting that sort of half a second behind the guys when Hardigan was battling hard with Carol Walden for the lead of the race there, and with those 2 tyres certainly allowing you to get the jump and then manage the race to the end of the race. So congratulations. As I said, 8 of the last 9 races, a fantastic result for you, and the last 4 consecutive. So well done on that. And Jace, coming home hard at the end there, we were watching you, wondered if you were going to be able to get it done, but just not quite enough laps in it for you to get back onto the back of Foster.
Yeah, I think I stayed out a little bit later than everyone else on that second stint. I came in lap 85, and it probably hurt me more than if I'd come in earlier. So, and then of course Ed took 2, which is that's just a normal Ed thing to do, really. I was going to do it. I was going to take 2, but I was like, no, I'll just carry on the way I'm doing. And didn't quite get to chase him down this time, but got close. So I'll take second place.
Well, we certainly enjoyed watching you and Josh, who I think may have got a flat on the last lap of the race. Certainly enjoyed watching you guys battle it out. Nose to tail, 10th apart for a majority of that race. So good, clean racing, and certainly good for us to get to watch. And Norm, that flat certainly helped you. You did a little bit of a Bradbury there and came from 6th to 3rd to finish on the podium on the last lap. Well done to you.
Yeah, thanks for that. Yeah, no, I knew the right front was going to be borderline, but I was more worried about my left front in a way. So I was kind of conserving a bit, but I never had speed enough for Hamish Gallagher. We were more or less the same pace, but I think his tyres were 1 or 2 laps newer than mine. But then, of course, he got the flat. Well, he must have had a flat wheel. And, of course, Joshy as well. And so I was lucky. Good one.
Well, you've got to be there, and you certainly have to be in a place to take advantage of it when it comes your way, and you've done that tonight. So congratulations on your podium as well. And we're off to Pocono next week. What can you tell me about racing there?
Ed loves it.
Yeah.
So you're tipping a 5, are you, Jace? 5 in a row?
Oh, not a 5, anything to say about it, but I'll try to challenge him for the win there again, like I seem to be doing.
Yes.
Yeah, we'll get after it. I mean, it was good to have a good battle up front tonight. I mean, we the 3 of us up the front had a pace on just about everyone, so it kind of freed us up to, in my case, try a little bit of strategy, and in their case, Josh and Jason's case, have a bit of a battle. So, that was really cool. So we'll just sort of see what happens at Pocono. I tend to run okay there. In the more modern cars, I've never driven one of these cars around there though. So wait and see, I suppose.
And what's the challenge at Pocono as someone new to oval track racing in these cars? What are you going to be looking at there?
Well, the main thing with Pocono is that all 3 corners. I mean, there's only 3 corners on the whole track, but they're all extremely different. Turn 1's quite steep and sort of more what you'd find on a traditional sort of intermediate oval, but turn 2's about half that banking, and then turn 3's almost flat. So it doesn't matter what setup you're running with, it's never perfect all the way around the track, and it's just a complete compromise the whole way. So that's probably the thing that sets it apart, and some people love it and some people hate it. Just because of how different it is, it's definitely an outlier for us. So it's going to make for an interesting race. You may even see a surprise result there, because it just has a habit of chucking up strange results, Pocono.
No, we're certainly looking forward to getting that one out, and definitely as well looking forward to the last couple of rounds, particularly the last round where we go circuit racing in these crazy cars. So I'm looking forward to seeing the last couple of rounds as we get there.
We'll be watching Jason drive off in the distance in that one. I think I can't stick with him on road courses, and it takes somebody very, very quick to stick with him on a road course. So it might be all of us sort of battling for second, or Jason just sort of strokes away out front or something.
No, I'm looking forward to it all. It's been good, and definitely looking forward to hopefully getting some more cars into this as this grows in popularity into next season. So I'm glad I get to bring it, and certainly get to bring it this week without any technology issues as well. That made it far more enjoyable than the last couple of weeks. So no, well done to the three of you for a race well run, and yeah, looking forward to getting to Pocono next week and seeing what that does bring up for us and our viewers.
Thanks very much.
Cheers, mate. Thank you.
Cheers, guys. So that wraps it up for us for the evening. For those of you who joined us, thank you very much. As always, we are back tomorrow night from 6 p.m. with the ANZCAR series, and that is a full grid GT3 series that we get to bring to you each week, and I am very much looking forward to seeing what that brings out as we head to Monza for round 5 of that series. I will be joined by Scotty Rankin, my partner in crime, and after that, I'm going to try and throw something up a little bit different for you tomorrow night. We don't have the second GT race of the Australian Endurance E-Series following on from that one, as that series has moved to fortnightly. So we're going to do some other stuff for you tomorrow night post that race, but definitely make sure you join in for the what turned out to be the Corbett show last week, but some really close racing from those guys. It is from 6 o'clock Australian Eastern, or if you are in New Zealand, from 8 p.m. And then Friday night we do have our IndyCar series, the Australian New Zealand IndyCar Championship, with the Pro Mazda series starting that one out, followed directly by the Dallara run, and that's at Belle Isle, so a fantastic IndyCar circuit that they run on over in the States. So plenty to come. As always, thanks to our streaming partners. We've got the guys at Aftershock, Ryan at Aftershock PC. If you're in the market for a new PC, gaming or otherwise, they are the place to go and see. They do ship Australia-wide, so Aftershock PC is the place to go. Virtual Motorsport Mentor, if you're looking to go faster or get faster. If you're just getting into sim racing, Chris Purnell and the team at Virtual Motorsport Mentor are the place to go if you're looking to improve your overall driving standards in the sim rig from setup right through to the end of racing. He and his team can help you there. And of course, we are a Razer streaming partner. This is an FGM eCast presentation of ANZCAR Grand National. We've come to you live from Dover on iRacing. As usual, we are your place for pace. So do join us tomorrow night as we head to New Zealand, and thanks very much for your company.